Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Collateral Nation. This is actually one of my favorite moments of the week because I can be on my treadmill and I can talk to one of my favorite PAD warriors and friends, Kevin Morgan, pathologist and incredible author of a brand new book, right, Kevin?
Yeah, it's new. Yeah,
Can
the
you tell?
Peripheral Artery Disease Training Plan for P.A.D. Heroes. I decided it was time not to give the impression I'm the hero, which I'm not. It's the people like the people here are fighting back and not giving up and working hard to build collaterals. And now we have
Yep.
ways to improve blood flow. So they're the real heroes.
Yeah. And, walking is the best medicine to grow those collateral vessels in the legs. And you have just had quite the journey with blockages, from the groin to the toe. And doctors saying there's nothing they can do. And you're like, hello, I want to run. I want to run. I want to do triathlons. Like, this is not going to happen. So if you figured out, you made it your life's purpose to figure out ways, not only for you to be able to, at 82 years old, compete at the world's level, but also help others meet their goals in walking and living a higher quality of life with PAD.
That's right. I just am fortunate in that I'm a veterinary pathologist by training, and I ended up in general pathology research, which is irrelevant when it comes to which species you're involved with.
It's
Of
true.
course, I ended up in applied mathematics, having an Asperger's personality. My big problem was dealing with difficult people. I tended to be rather abrupt with them. But in addition to medical training, I've been an athlete my whole life, been doing Ironman triathlons for 25 years, one level and another, depending on my health at the time. But also, I've studied extensive body movement techniques, Feldenkrais, Pilates, etc. And that's what led me to create this new movement of the feet to improve pumping of blood through your feet. First, I tried it on me for a few years, and it's gradually been improving. And today, I learned something really great. A friend of
Yep.
mine has Parkinson's, is on treatment with carbidopa, levodopa, which have really worked well. One substitutes and increases dopamine in the brain, and the other slows down the breakdown of dopamine. She has had dramatic recovery, but her feet were still stiff. And so she saw my videos online, started doing the P.A.D. 100, and she
What?
said it helps her balance in the morning when she gets out of bed. It makes her feel more stable, and her feet and ankles are more flexible.
Oh
And
my goodness.
she told a friend in England about it. She tried it. Her PT had said to move her feet, and by moving the feet, using the P.A.D. 100 approach, which is tricky to learn but important that you do. Apparently, this friend had a stroke, and it's helping her too. So it has more applications than just PAD. People need to get their feet out of their
Yeah.
shoes with a small toe box, out of tube socks, wake them up, and use them like they were intended. And the methods we're promoting here, and not just here but elsewhere, to a limited degree, but not by the general medical profession in any significant way, we can go beyond PAD and help other people too. I was delighted.
And so your book has about 20 chapters. In the last episode of Collateral Nation, we talked about the first 10. And today we are going to get to chapters 11 through 20. And we will get to the summary of the first 10 chapters in just a moment. But I have to tell you the impact of last week's show where you did talk about all of those foot exercises, because number one, I had a last minute, very urgent trip to drive 20 hours in 2 days. I literally was up to get back here after driving south all the way to San Diego. I got up at 2:30 this morning and drove back home to the San Francisco Bay Area. 5-hour drive, traffic, everything else. But oh my goodness, I was doing the toe yoga and the pad 100. I think it was probably the pad 5,000 by the time I was done with my road trip. So you kept me actually going. I felt like for the first time that I didn't feel really stiff and cold feet, and I don't have PAD, but also I don't want to get PAD. It does run in my family. My grandfather passed away of complications due to PAD. a procedure that he had had. That's why I'm really big on walking is medicine and doing everything that you can on your own, because there are always complications when it comes to procedures. And so as much as you can to delay those procedures is the best way to go when it comes to PAD. And I can tell you from experience with my grandfather on that. A second experience, which is interesting, is I had a patient that was in acute limb ischemia. Blood clot had formed earlier on in the day. And by 10 o'clock at night, oh my goodness, she was just suffering. And so she messaged me, messaged the doctor. We all got online, got her to go to the emergency room. And on the way, I just kept saying to her, move those toes, do that toe yoga, do the pad 100, get that alphabet going. And I'm like, you need to move, because we don't want paralysis of that foot. The moment you stop moving those toes is the moment they're going to cut them off. So keep them moving. I know it's painful, but you got to move. Right, Kevin?
That's exactly right. Use it or lose it is the one example. That's for sure.
And so she was on the heparin drip last night. And I said, okay, tomorrow morning, I think they're going to do a TPA, the catheter delivery of those clot busting drugs. But tonight, while you're on that heparin, you need to, if you want to keep those toes, you keep them moving. Do the toe yoga. I want you to be picking up the sheets. Remember you talked about last week in the Collateral Nation, picking up a towel with your feet, not a marble, but picking up the towel with your toes. And I said you could do the same thing with your sheets while you're in the bed waiting for the TPA, and even when you have the TPA. So there is a lot that you can do if you can't walk. You can definitely do the exercises that Kevin talked about, and you can go back to our youtube.com/the the way to my heart, to check out that last episode and the full rundown of the first 10 chapters of Kevin's book, which is right now available via Kindle for only, I think it's less than $8 on Amazon. And if you need us to donate one to you, just go ahead and message info at padhelp.org, and I'll go ahead and get you one. But it's less than $8. So it's definitely worth the investment. But Kevin, would you mind giving us just a quick Cliff Notes version of the first 10 chapters, and we'll move on to the next 10. And we also have a couple great live studio audience members, Mike and Joe, who might chime in as well. And you guys can chime in, just state who you are and ask your questions as we move along. But Kevin, can you give us the Cliff Notes version of 1 through 10?
I can. And just a quick comment on blockage of the common iliac. My left common iliac was 100% blocked in 2017 due to a kink in my internal iliac or hypogastric artery stent extension at the junction, and it kinked. They fixed it with EVAR, but first they had to get rid of the 100% clot. I noticed it because I couldn't lift my leg. I had no other symptoms.
Oh, no.
I think my left leg was living on collaterals I've been building through Ironman training, because that common iliac was 100% occluded. For 36 hours, I had to lie in a hospital bed with a cannula in as they ran in TPA. And
Oh, you did that. Wow.
I nearly lost 2 toes, I think, because when the blood supply started to return, 2 of my toes were in the most excruciating pain you can imagine. But I had to keep still. They said, don't move. And they gave me 1 OxyContin, would not give me any more, which is weird, because I've used OxyContin before. It's a dangerous drug. It's addictive. They would not give me any more, and I needed it. I kept still. They gave me another Advil, but the pain was excruciating. But when I left the hospital, they gave me a prescription for a bottle of OxyContin. I do not understand that. But anyway, I resisted the pain. I kept still. It cleared it. Then they put a stent within a stent within a stent that stabilized it in 2017. And as I said before, in 2023, I was 3rd in the World Half Ironman Championships in Finland in my age group. So for anyone who thinks because you have these problems, you can't do stuff, you can, but you have to do it intelligently. And once the doctors have done what they can, it's up to you. Anyway, so that's the common iliac story. I don't know if there's any questions on that. If I'll move on.
Well, we have Joe listening in. Hey, Joe, are you inspired? Are you going to be right behind him as a world triathlete? Is that going to be your goal now?
Well, maybe
we're
not,
going to get your wife, the nurse, in here.
maybe not that exact goal, but it's inspiring.
It's pretty awesome. And I'm glad that your doctors talked about walking as medicine, because no procedures should ever be frontline treatment until you at least try 3 months of a regimented walking program. Get the medicine, the supplementation, change your diet. If you're smoking, stop smoking, no vaping, none, no marijuana, no cannabis.
I did I did start working on a rebounder in April.
Oh, good.
And we're fortunate to have an oxygen concentrator. So I've been doing some of
Okay.
the sessions on O2, and I've seen uh, such a relief in claudication pain while I'm doing the exercises. It's amazing.
Hey, Kevin, what do you think about doing it? I'm not sure what he means by an oxygen, but maybe you do.
Well, I mean, I monitor the O2 sats level in my toes with an O2 sats meter that was developed
Mhm.
for COVID. And that's mentioned in my books. So you can actually, if you have claudication, it's a good idea to just check your O2 sats level in your,
I did.
maybe in your, even all the way down to your little toe. The little toe is at most at risk based on the pictures I've seen. Gangrene seems to start there. I think because there's a tendency to hold our feet in tight, and in tight shoes, it seems to affect the flow there more than anywhere else. But I know of no systematic approach to that question. Okay, very quickly, the first 10 chapters of my book, Peripheral Arterial Disease Training Plan for P.A.D. Heroes, which took me 10 years or more. I mean, my problem started in 2014 with claudication and numb feet in marathons. I ran Boston in 2009, and in 2014, I was coming in at the end of the 7 hours. I mean, I qualified for Boston with a 4:07:59. And
Mhm.
so, you know, my running went to hell. And then it turned out I had P.A.D. It was confirmed by ABI in 2015 by my excellent vascular surgeon, Mark Farber, and his team. I'm very lucky to have them. Um, his advice was a little bit limited. He said I should start a walking program of 30-minute walks a week. For me, that wasn't enough, as I ran another marathon 2 weeks after he said that, coming in once again at 7 hours as they're closing the course. So that motivated me to find ways to improve blood flow. Number one, grow collaterals, but actually that's not number one. Number one is you've got to grieve what you used to have and let it go. You can't be sitting around remembering in the good old days. You now have to accept reality that you have P.A.D. or whatever the problem happens to be, and get over it and get going. And it's easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. I mean,
Yeah.
try to run again. So you have to let that go. That's number one. Number two, when you start a training program, if you can afford it, get an assessment by a PT or a sports masseuse to see if they can find weak areas. When I started Ironman in my 50s, I went to a PT and he found I had very weak hip adductors. So I got on an adductor machine at the gym and toughened them up, and they haven't given me any problems, but they could have. So that's number two. Get an assessment. That's my dog howling outside. I'll bring her in a minute. Oh no,
She's
it's the
just affirming everything that you're saying.
postman's here.
Pause for pad, PAWS, pause for pad.
It's the postman. It's like they always do this. Anyway, number three, you got to start your body awareness training. You have to learn how your body moves. And the best, that's my other dog barking. Anyway, I got two dogs. And
You
so
got a chorus.
number three is you need to learn to listen to your body. And a really good way to do that is if you're working out in the gym, look in the mirrors, or if you are, you have a friend with a phone, they could take a video of you walking and watch what you do and compare yourself with athletes and other people. Just start to watch the way you do things. That's really important. Number four, fix your footwear. Wear shoes with a big toe box, but not one you slop around in. And never wear tube socks because they squash your feet all the time. Number five, spread your toes and feet with yoga toes. Well, we've got a great video online that I created with my body movement teacher, Rebecca Amos Lawson. That will tell you exactly how to do it. Okay, Gumby, come in. You're interrupting the program. Come in.
Adding value. You walk 22 minutes more if you have a dog. No wonder you're so fit, you fit old dog.
Well, kind of fit.
I have to now promote your YouTube channel, youtube.com/the @ fit old dog. You have the dogs right there in the background to remind you of that. But that's where you can get the videos that Kevin is talking about.
Yeah, this book I just put out has 33 links to my videos in the P.A.D. playlist on my site. Those are free. You don't have to pay for them. And the book gives you links directly to each one. So the reason I sell my books is to try and cover my costs. I doubt I'll ever make a living at it, but I'm trying to cover my costs. But I have limited income, so I have to try and do that. So no tube socks, big toe box. Number 5, learn how to spread your toes and feet with yoga toes. Watch the video. Number 6, flex your toes for a better venous return, thus the picking up a towel with your toes. Learn how to walk with a low impact. That is tricky, and that takes time. And there's a video showing you how to do that. And that's the end of the beginner training. Thank you, Kym. Intermediate, train your feet for walking. The stuff I show that you do, in bed or sitting in a chair about flexing your feet and your toes, you then have to learn how to do that while you're walking.
Yep.
And I'm training myself to do while I'm running. I can do it while I run, but running with P.A.D. is tricky. It's very tricky, but I'm getting there. So
can you explain what you're talking? So that's why I'm doing the clawing. I have to actually claw my fingers because I'm on the treadmill. And so in order to get my toes to do the same thing, this is a reminder. I don't do this outside when I'm walking, but I do this when I'm on my treadmill to remind me to claw the ground as I'm walking.
Yeah, the trick for anybody who hasn't heard it is you basically, as your feet land on the ground, all this is done gently. A clawing sounds kind of aggressive. It has to be gentle and soft. Basically, your feet having a conversation with the ground. As you come down, what you're doing is contracting the muscles in the bottom of your feet, which pumps the blood out of your feet. As you lift your foot off the ground, you spread your toes. So this spreads the metatarsals, and you see how it's spreading the metacarpals in my hand, and this takes pressure off of blood vessels between those bones and helps the blood to flow on through your foot. New blood to come in as it's been just pumped out by your muscles. It goes into the veins, which have valves, so it can't backflow. That's the principle, and it works once you learn how to do it right. It's not just flapping your feet up and down, not one little bit. You have to understand what you're doing. Contracting your feet to pump the blood out, spreading your toes as you relax your feet completely, and the whole thing is done relaxed, believe it or not, to let new blood flow in. That's the principle of P.A.D. 100. Okay, so you have to do this while you're walking. That's tricky, but it can be done. I've been doing it for 3 years now. Master P.A.D. 100. Most people, when you get to about 50, your tibialis anterior or shin split muscles will start to ache, but you can get past that. Number 10, check your toes with an O2 SATS meter, and probably the little toe is the first one to start. So you can get an idea how you're doing, and you can monitor your progress. Now, if you do all this stuff and you can't measure your progress, how are you going to keep going? Well, you have improved function. It takes a while. Nothing happens fast. And the other thing is, this is endurance training. P.A.D. is a professional. It never gives up 24/7. So I'm afraid we are in the same situation. We have to do this consistently, change our ways of moving, and then we can keep going. So build collaterals, improve blood flow is basically, and get over what you lost. That's basically the first 10 chapters.
And a couple of things just on the first 10, in terms of grieving, inspired by you. I was at an event in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, where we were doing P.A.D. testing. And there was an organization that's there that the first thing when they talk about mental health and diagnosis. And it was amazing. The first thing that they brought up when I was talking to them was managing the grief of a diagnosis and going through everything that you've talked about, just as if you've lost a loved one, right? And so they're going to come on our show on Saturday on the Heart of Innovation, right here on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the way to my heart. And they are going to talk about the grieving process of a diagnosis and how to manage the mental aspect of the disease. So thank you, Kevin. That was inspired by you, because I wouldn't have thought to say, hey, wait a minute, you got to come on the show. So they're going to come on the show to expand on exactly what you talked about. So I appreciate it. And number 2 is we have a success story from your first 10 chapters here, because a little birdie told me, a little country birdie told me that Mike, who is here, after doing all your P.A.D 100s and he's been out walking, Mike, what are you doing now for the very first time?
What I did last night.
Yes, what you
Is
did
that
last night except I didn't see the pink hat. I was a little disappointed without the pink hat.
no, it was our first time there, so I'm going to take that next week. But I'm definitely going to stick to it. I went line dancing, Kevin.
Oh, way to go. I mean, I hate
Yeah,
line
and it was
dancing. I got Asperger's, but it's a good thing to do.
an absolute blast. We had the best night ever. It was so fun. There was only 6 people in the group, the teaching group, so yeah, it was nice and small, and be able to watch the teacher, and yeah, we had a really good night.
Oh, that's good. And how were your feet?
They're all right. They were a bit achy this morning when I first got up, but I did my P.A.D 100 before I got out of bed, and I'm good to go.
Oh, excellent. Oh, by the way, Kym, Mike, as far as I know, is the first and only person to buy my book, and he wrote a review on Amazon in Canada. You can't see it in the US. There seems to be a little bit of a war between Canada and the US right now, but let's not discuss that.
No,
Anyway,
that's interesting, because I've had several people who have told me they purchased the book.
I haven't seen
I
it
hope
on
they
and stuff. Maybe were they in Canada?
I don't know where they are. They had just gotten a couple messages just from random people in the group, and it's been promoted. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we add it to this video, so it's in the comment section. And then number 2 is I'll add it to the featured section of our group as well, so people can readily get their hands on it. We can also put a synopsis under our files section with a link to the book, so people can get the expanded version via Kindle. So we'll talk about that after the show, but we can make that happen, and then it's readily available and easy for people to tag and share.
Okay, I think the main thing I need to do is create the paperback. I was going to wait a month of this, get feedback, make improvements if any are necessary, and they always are necessary. And then I'll design the paperback, which is more work. I have to build the cover, get it all to fit, then get it on Amazon. And then I can also put it on multiple other booksellers, but I'm just waiting for feedback. And once it's correct, and once it's how I want it, Amazon found one typo. I since then found one small typo. Otherwise, it seems fine. And then I'll create the paperback and put it on Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and all these other places. So anyway.
Mike might have some feedback, since he read it cover to cover already.
He wrote a nice review in Canada.
Did he, Mike? Any questions or any thoughts, based on what you've read so far?
Not really. I'll have a think about it. I've put one thing into my routine though. After reading the book, when I'm doing my treadmill and I'm doing a 1-minute run interval, I'm landing on the side of my foot now rather than landing on the heel.
Right.
The back of the foot.
Yeah, that is number. Hang on. I think that was number. Where's the walking? Yeah, that's the low impact. That's chapter 7. And I show a link of how to do low impact running, but it's the same for walking. And I show a lady doing that. Yeah, if you have good shoulder hip kind of rotation, you'll come in from the side of your foot, and then your foot lands gently instead of slamming down on the heel, which causes a lot of damage to people's knees. That's why I know so many friends who are bone on bone in their knees, and they can bike, but it kills a lot of people in terms of athletics. But anyway, Mike, thanks for your review. It was very kind of you.
And we have a question.
I don't like to talk about my book too much, because I don't want to be a vacuum cleaner salesman. Have you seen the Monty Python on that?
No.
Oh, it's funny as hell. A guy comes to the door, and he's obviously a vacuum cleaner salesman. And the person comes to the door and says, "Are you a wobber or a vacuum cleaner salesman?" He says, "Oh, I'm a wobber." And they say, "Oh, well, come on in then." If he'd been a vacuum cleaner salesman, they would have sent him away. I just don't want to be like that. Anyway, okay.
You're not at all, but I bet you our YouTube producer Josh, who's behind the scenes here, I bet you he's actually seen it.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure he's chuckling in the background.
He's well read too.
Yes, completely.
Yeah. Okay,
So
here
we
we
did
go.
have a question that was just coming in from Constance, and she was saying that she is bone on bone with her hip, and she has to walk for her PAD, and she's a serious claudicant. Plus, her feet feel like bricks because now her ankles are swelling as she's trying to walk, and she just feels like there's this balance between walking for the PAD but preventing the further injury with the bone on bone because she can't get the surgery yet because of her PAD for her hip and get the hip replaced. So any suggestions for her to take the pressure off her hip for the moment at least?
Well, the thing is, to master zero impact running or walking is actually almost impossible. You can reduce it by many fold. I'm probably down to about 10% of what I was originally. And that's extremely difficult. If she has access to a pool, she can do a lot of good work, which will help grow collaterals without the impact. And there's a video I mentioned in there of water running, that it shows how to do that and how you can exercise all different muscles without the impact of gravitational effects. That's one approach, but she sure has to do the exercises, but without the impact, because it will do further damage to her hip. But if she has the hip replacement, it will put everything back in place. Because, I have a friend who had a hip replacement recently, and man, no pain, and she's doing great. But she had to go through quite a lot of rehab, and vascularization is important for recovery of the, repair of the bone and all that stuff.
Yep.
So she has to somehow exercise without impact. That's the bottom line. I'm just trying to, I have to think about that if I can come up with anything.
Okay.
But if she can if she can use more lower legs rather than her hips, but but then again, you have to have shoulder hip counter rotation, which uses the hips, which is also going to grind those, the acetabulum against the head of the femur. That's tricky. The first thing I can think of is water running. And also, if she could go to the space station and get on a bike, that would do the trick. Oh, they have artificial gravity up there too. Yeah, water running is my first thought. If she could do that, if she watches my video.
She's in Florida, so there's plenty of water around. I don't think there's the lack of that.
And it's warm enough.
And it's warm enough.
At first, you can use a float aid, but it's better not to use a float aid because then you get whole body training. It's all on that video. So that's where I'd start. And if she could report any progress, maybe I'll come up with other ideas, or someone else will.
And we have a YouTube comment that's coming in from PT103, our anonymous viewer, that we are so thankful that they join in quite a bit. I think they catch just about every episode, which is amazing. So thank you for joining us. They just have some feedback saying, may I kindly add a chapter? Don't compare yourself to others. This is an individual disease. Start where you are and move forward. I don't know if you have that in your book, even as a statement. I would imagine it might be somewhere, but that's a really good point.
Yeah, I do have it in there. And I say, okay, I do Ironman, but your Ironman may be being in a hospital bed and getting to the restroom unaided. I mean, that could be your Ironman. So everybody's different. And also everybody is anatomically different. Everyone is biochemically different. And this is where body awareness comes in. And that is expressed in fairly clear terms in that book and my other books. And so, I appreciate that very much. And I will go back and look at the book and see if that does need emphasizing. I don't know if this person read it. I have no idea. But yeah, it's extremely important that you work with who you are and what you have and where you are in life and your injuries in the past and how serious your PAD is. Absolutely. Good question.
And we have, before we get into the rest of the chapter, so we have a lot of questions coming in today. And I think, and Mike and Joe, you can always chime in at any point you have questions, but we have Jay who is chiming in because she has questions about her mom. Her mom had a couple of failed bypasses. She had no inflow, and yet they tried to do 2 bypasses and they failed. Then they were going to cut off her leg. And thankfully, we were able to find her an advanced limb salvage specialist that went in with only a wire and balloon, restored the flow through the iliacs, and she was doing well. But the problem is that she has all of these wounds. And while Jay, chime in here, while she had these wounds, her leg was in a certain position to ease the pain, and now you're having trouble getting it, the mobility back.
Yes, definitely. So she was bedridden for maybe at least 2 months. So her
Ooh.
leg was stuck in an awkward position, maybe to the left angled. And after the 2 months, once the blood flow was restored, she was not able to walk. So she had to relearn how to walk, get out of bed, uh, build up a little bit more strength in her leg. Now she's dealing with two very large wounds on that leg, so the strength and in the leg is very limited. Now, every time she stands up to try to attempt to walk, her hips start to hurt, and it's unbearable pain for her. Do you have any recommendations for stretches, exercises, or anything she could do to help a little bit more with her mobility and minimize some of that pain? Like I heard you mention water exercises. Right now, she has two large wounds, so I don't know that she's able
Yeah.
to
No,
use
she
the
wouldn't be able to go
water.
in the pool.
Yes.
Uh, there's two approaches you can take. You move everything you can to the limit of the pain that you can handle, number one. And number two, you can imagine the exercises. Imagine you're walking, and that has actually been shown to work. It causes muscles to grow, joints to get stronger. And there's some pretty good studies on that, that if you use the power of, I guess, creative visualization, that can also help and give you some feeling of control. But she has to move, but she also has to put load. You can't imagine load that easily. Water running is out of the question with lesions. And so the trick is to move everything and anything you can to the limits of the pain. And when you talk about growing collaterals, pain is the deal. It's the deal. It's what you have to put up with. I've had plenty of training in pain through Kung Fu and God goodness knows what, and Iron Man and all that stuff. And so I got a pretty good idea when the pain is constructive. So the number one, never give up. Number two, find ways to move. Number three, maybe there's a PT there that can get her on a bike or something like that. Because on a bike, on a bike or an elliptical trainer, once she can move and stand at all, and the bike might work. Is she considered a trainer bike
Or maybe just a foot cycle, right?
or a foot cycle? Yeah, my friend with Parkinson's used a foot cycle where she would sit in a chair and pedal with this. She's sitting down, and that helped her quite a bit. And when she added the P.A.D. 100, that's definitely helped.
Yeah, tell her about the P.A.D. 100 and the toe yoga as well, because that can help also improve the circulation to where the wounds are located.
Yeah, I think if she were to go to my YouTube channel, there's a P.A.D. playlist, and in there are 33 videos I've put together over the years, explaining how to do different stuff, how to move. Feldenkrais is a great way to go. It all comes down to money, resources, where you are. It always comes down to that, and also what assistance you have. As that lady or person said, it's very personal, your circumstances, but she's got to move, and she's got to get. If she has serious PAD, those lesions will heal very slowly. But as long as they're healing and they have the right medication, we used to recommend, as a vet, we used to recommend honey and iodine. We put on animals' serious wounds. That used to work. I don't know if that's I think they call it sugardyne or something, but I don't know what I'm sure they have different things now. Maybe they have different things that are expensive, whereas that.
They actually have an antimicrobial that they've been using that just recently got FDA cleared. So you're going to hear about it and see it roll out very soon. It's really a game changer. We've had two patients, both Jay and also, I don't know if you remember, Thomas out of our group, that ended up same situation with wounds because of a failed bypass and infection. And using this, they were part of the trial, and it really helped. I mean, I could not believe, and even doctors couldn't believe how well it worked.
Yeah, and honey is actually good that way, because have you noticed nothing ever grows on honey?
Yeah,
So,
the Manuka honey from New Zealand.
yeah, so that's those are the best things I can think of right now. I mean, I'm not in the person's situation, but the real challenge is mental. How to fight back, and these are the ideas I've had so far.
Jay, is that helpful at all?
It is extremely helpful, and we actually just bought like a pedal bike yesterday.
Good.
So we're gonna try some of those things and we'll watch the YouTube channel. But it's very helpful, and I definitely thank you for your time.
Yeah, morale is number one. Oh my God, it's tough. It's tough for all of us. I mean, everyone on here has P.A.D. I have a really severe P.A.D. My right popliteal is 100% blocked, but I'm managing to run. Not very fast, but I'm managing to run. I'm trying to optimize, hemodynamics in my right leg in order that I can get back into full distance races. But I'm signed up for a half Ironman in May, so I got plenty of work to do this winter. Having goals is good, measuring progress is good, and having friends is very helpful.
Yep. And having a great daughter like Jay is very helpful, even more helpful.
Good work, Dave.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
The support crew needs a support crew. This is often forgotten.
Yes. Oh, yes. And so, Kevin, why don't we go into the last 10 chapters, or as many as we can do? We can always extend into next week as well, if we want to do 5 this week, 5 next week. But let's just begin. Chapter 11.
Okay, flex and spread your feet while walking. I already talked about that. Then recording progress based on distance. So you can measure distance on a treadmill by how steep the angle is, the incline, or how long you can keep going without or standing claudication. And it depends whether you're thinking like a sprinter or an endurance athlete. Those are different approaches to the problem. You can record your progress with the O2 sats meter and see if your O2 sats are improving, especially on your little toe. Just keep a record of that. Keep a diary. Keep a diary of your mood. You'll have good days and bad days. That's a fact of life. There's another thing I know as a runner, the first mile is always the worst mile. It doesn't matter how fit you are. When I ran the Boston Marathon, the first mile was the worst mile, and I was fit as anything. And so that's a fact. So when you start training, the beginning is always difficult. So you push through it, and before you know it, the collaterals are opening wide and things are a whole lot better. Number 13, undertake a stretching program. Stretching is a very bad term. It should be lengthening. Muscles are designed with receptors, spindle receptors and stuff like that, that if you try to stretch it, it will resist so it doesn't tear. So you're taking it to the edge. The best approach for stretching is active isolated stretching out of Sweden, where you do short stretches and rest, short stretches and rest. Another way, and you use the opposing muscles too. So for instance, if you're stretching your quads, contracting your hamstrings will help, and vice versa, because muscles are designed when they contract for the opposing muscle group to relax. If not, I mean, you'd just be frozen stiff. Nothing would move. So you have to let go of the opposing muscle group. Like biceps, when you contract your biceps, you have to relax your triceps. When you contract your triceps, you have to relax your biceps. I mean, it's just a fact of life. So if you incorporate that into your stretching routine using active isolated, you'll get a pretty good improvement in your flexibility. So that's number 13. Any comment on that, or should we move on?
I think that we can move on. Chapter 14.
Okay, now you're in advanced training. I set it up as 3 sections: beginner, intermediate, advanced. Advanced training is about training your mind and your body, not just your body. So you need to initiate some strength training. I like to use free weights in the gym. I use floor work. I use, strides, all this stuff. Okay, I've been doing this forever. I was heavily into heavy weightlifting for a while. I could bench press 250 pounds in my 50s. And I've been through all that. If you want to know about weightlifting, or weight training even, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great book to go to. He really knows this. He was really an incredible body weightlifter,
And he had a bicuspid valve defect as well, which he had
Right.
major open heart surgery for.
Yeah, but he's a funny guy, but man, he knew about how to use weights effectively and safely. And he recommended swimming for cross training to stretch you out. But we're not going to do weight lifting. We're going to do weight training, which means light weights, lots of reps. And that's it. So strength training is really important. And also try and develop a good posture. And if you do some weight training standing, that will help to offset osteoporosis. Okay, strength training, you have to find what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, you won't do it. Number 15, if things are feeling bad, get inspiration from others. I have my heroes. When I feel things are really tough, which sometimes they are, I'll remember Jean-Dominique Bauby and his book, The Butterfly and the Diving Bell. I mean, that guy impresses me incredibly. Or Viktor Frankl. I mean, people who've overcome real problems. I mean, all I'm dealing with is a minor plumbing problem. They were dealing with life and death problems, and they came through. So find your heroes, somebody that can inspire you to keep going. And
Did you see our YouTube producer Josh's note? It's in the
no,
chat.
I didn't.
I could read it for you, but I think it's more fun if you read it because it has some quite the notation on there.
Yeah, no,
quite the emphasis.
I can't see it.
He says, "I'm your hero, Kevin."
Oh, Josh is my hero. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
true. You know, yeah, he actually improved my videos a lot. He told me to stick my face in the frame, which I was hesitant to do, and it actually has improved people's interest in the videos, and so it's been more effective. Yeah, you're my hero, Josh. That's true. A scary one at that.
Josh, and he has the recording, so he's going to save that. It might get replay, and he says he knows. Yeah, he knew it. He says I knew it.
Does he pay something as well? I think not. Okay, 16. Treadmill is an incredibly useful tool. That and the elliptical trainer are really important training tools in the winter when weather's bad, or here in the summer when the weather's bad, because it's hot and humid. It's too hot to even go for a walk here sometimes. It'd be nearly 100 and 100% humidity. So then I use the gym. The beauty of the treadmill is it's cushioned. So maybe that lady with the hips, with a hip problem, she should, if she can get on a treadmill, a good treadmill, they're very, very padded. So you don't get anywhere near the impact as you do walking on the road. And the other thing is walking on the road, you want to walk on the asphalt, not the concrete. Concrete is too hard. I never run on concrete. I shuffle across concrete, whereas I can run on asphalt because it's more springy. So a treadmill is good for that. It's not good for learning how to really run because it's a whole lot easier than really running out on the road. But if you use the incline, it can actually, if I have a steep incline, it really works on my hips. If I increase the pace, it works on my claudication. So I balance that and do both. So the treadmill is a great tool. Beauty of the elliptical is it works on both your upper body and your lower body. And number two, there's no impact. There's some impact on a treadmill, essentially no impact at all on an elliptical. Good tools. Any questions, or I move on?
Yeah, but I think that's good. But I think in terms of the elliptical, we always tell people that they always ask me, well, is there a replacement for walking? If your goal is to walk and to live a quality life, to be able to shop at the store, be able to play with your grandkids, be able to walk down the street, be able to, walk across Disneyland. For example, we had someone who that was his goal to do that. Then you need to walk and learn how to walk effectively, push through the collateral vessels, push through the claudication to grow the collateral vessels. In order to do it, you can do these other things as alternates or as a way to prime yourself, right? And start getting, the strength built up to be able to walk further without claudication. But it's not, there's no replacement for walking because you need to walk. And that's what P.A.D does. It limits your ability to walk. So you gotta walk to be able to walk.
Neither of these tools are a substitute for walking outside. They are not a substitute. They are just tools you can use in the gym, and they can be extremely useful. I like to use the treadmill incline for toughening up my hips, which sometimes struggle when I try to run. And so I've been doing that quite effectively. Also on a really rainy days, or when I can't get out because it's too cold, or there's, even if there's ice around, which isn't right now, I use those tools, but they have to be used wisely, and they are no substitute, as you said, Kym, for actually walking out on the road or on trails or whatever. Okay, number 17, Start cross training of your choice. My cross training is easy. I do triathlon, swim, bike, run. So I do all three. Plus I do weight training, stretching, all that stuff. And so I have a cross training. But you don't just be doing walking. You need to do more things than just that. I mean, you have to be careful what you do. But if it's, line dancing is obviously a choice for some people, which I find a complete horror show. I hate it. I don't enjoy dancing one little bit. I mean, I'm way up on the Asperger's spectrum. I have no emotional response to dancing. I took many dancing classes to try to enjoy it like other people do. I just do not. And then people ask me, well, what gets you really excited? And I say, and I remember I thought back, what gets me really excited apart from, having a girlfriend, I guess. And I thought, I got really excited when I solved that really difficult integral. It took me several weeks to solve it. And it was like this adventure in mathematics. And they look at me weird. And so that's my kind of brain. But you have to do for P.A.D., you have to do some cross training, but it needs to be something you enjoy or you won't do it. You really won't do it. And just walking doesn't work your upper body very much. You need to work your upper body or you'll find it gets weak. And the easy way to do that is in the gym with free weights. That's one approach. Or you have, for me, it's swimming. I mean, hell, swimming does it. Also on the bike, when I do long bike rides, it's a lot of upper body work. And you'd be surprised you haven't been biking for a while and you go out on like a 50-mile ride, your upper body will ache because you haven't been training it. So cross training is important, but do something you enjoy. It could be golf, whatever. 18. Oh, by the way, I had to train the way I rode the bike a lot. I had to change how I use the bike when I have my AAA stent graft.
Oh,
I had to minimize hip flexion. I used to use a rowing machine in the gym for warm up. I had to stop doing that. I got zero advice from physicians. That's not a criticism. It's not their job. It's our job to work it out because they've got other things to do, like save our life. And so I came across a paper where one guy nearly killed himself with a AAA stent graft. He dislocated the stent on a rowing machine because you bring your knees nearly up to your chest. And if you understand a AAA stent graft, you'll see that is a really bad idea. And so I stopped using the rowing machine, which I kind of missed because I really like doing that. And so when you do your cross training, make sure you understand your situation mechanically so you don't do damage, you do good. So knowing what you're doing is really important. Number 18, this is a tricky one. I have a test for this too. Most people say I'm imagining things. No, I'm not imagining things. But how do I know I'm not imagining things? Anyway, expand your body awareness training is number 18. And if you want to know the state of your body awareness, which is looking inside your body, knowing what's going on, I took so many different, I studied Feldenkrais for 5 years and Pilates for 2 and 2 years of sports yoga. And all this is about getting to know your body. I did 4 years of martial arts. And I saw, I got a fair idea what's going on in there, but you have to look inside. And I have a simple test, which you'll find is called Wiggle Your Finger on YouTube in my P.A.D. playlist to go with the book. And in there is a test of your body awareness. And all you do is you move your finger, right? I call it wiggle your finger. And if you are aware and you need to be meditative, you'll feel something happening in your hips on the other side. And what's happening is, and I can feel it now, you can't do it while you're walking, Kym. It's impossible. You have to be in a very meditative state. It's very subtle. Do that, you will feel your hip rotators on the opposite side start to
Look
engage.
at Mike laughing over there at me.
Of course. You'll feel your hip flexors engaged because you think about it. When you use your hands, it's often to reach for things, right? So what do you do to reach for things? You turn your pelvis. And how do you turn your pelvis? It's with your lateral hip rotators. And so you're active, they're getting ready to work. They think you're about to do something when you move your hand like that. And if you're quiet and meditative and do that, you'll get this feeling of they're ready to move. It's just a real feeling. And then you start to feel these things all over the place. You have to be quiet and meditative and look inside. And so if you can pass my wiggle your finger test, You're making good progress and better than most people I've ever met.
Hey,
Okay.
Mike, we need to do that in our UK hangout today. So remember that one. We need to do it in our meditative state today
Yeah,
during our
Meditative
UK hangout.
state. Yeah.
yeah, you have to be calm and
And
quiet.
is it just the one finger?
Well, you do it this way. If you move your thumb, it's somewhat different. Because if you're going to grasp, what happens? You move your finger and you reach, right? Now you've reached, and now you want to grasp the thing. What do you want to do then? You want to lock your pelvis, hold everything still because you're grabbing it, right? And if you contract your thumb, you can feel the contractions kind of on both sides, but more clearly on the right as it's compensating for the one on the left. So moving your thumb, it feels different. I can feel it now. I can feel that response in my hips, and that's body awareness. Okay, movement skills and misalignments. I have a nice video on there about how sitting one way in a chair for much of my life caused incredible misalignments in my hips. And there's a nice video on that. So I had to practice sitting both ways around. You know, first I would sit in the gym looking at the mirror, and I put my left ankle or left foot on my right ankle on my right ankle on my left knee. Can you imagine that? So I put it on my left knee, and I would always sit that way around. And I was looking in the mirror one day in my 50s or something, whenever the video I made it with a BlackBerry. That tells you how long ago it was. I thought, well,
I didn't know you could make videos with a BlackBerry.
Yeah, I got quite a few of them on there. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I think the low impact running was made with a BlackBerry. Anyway, I mean, you work with what you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
that famous quote by Nietzsche: anyone who has a why can always find a how.
Yep.
That means, and that's a really important piece of philosophy. If you have something to wake up for each day, you'll find a way to, work with it, solve problems, whatever. Anyway, and so I thought, well, what's it feel like if I sit the other way around? So I was looking in the mirror at the gym, and I tried to put my left ankle on my right knee. I couldn't get it up there. I had to heave it up. What I'd done was I'd stretched all the ligaments and tendons on my right side and shrunk them on my left. And so I couldn't, and it took me probably 3 years to even it up. And it's still not quite even, but it's really, really close now. But first I couldn't. So that's a self-induced misalignment by doing the thing the same way all the time.
Yeah.
And that can be fixed. That's one of the videos. So we're talking about advanced body training, spotting things that you screwed up yourself and fixing them. One of those things is wearing tight shoes. Another one of those things is wearing tube socks. I mean, one of those things is watching TV instead of going out for a walk. I mean, man, how screwed up can you be? Anyway, okay, that's number 19.
So we're on the final chapter?
The final chapter.
Chapter 20.
I mean, there is a 21, but it's about telling your story and becoming a peer expert. It's not about your training. It's about talking about it, which isn't the same as doing it. I mean, here I am talking about it, but it's not the same as doing it. People do like to talk about things and not do them. Anyway, 20, enter a local run race and walk at the back. And that sounds an odd thing to do. Say there's, for instance, a 5K. I think Kym's heard of those.
Yep.
I
think we're doing 30 days to a 5K in September. I hope everyone's going to join us.
Yeah, we need to get ready for that. Anyway,
Yep.
So you need to work your way up. It's a 3.1, I guess, mile walk run. You can walk. You'd be surprised. You go to these races, they're all focused on the fast people at the front, are usually in their late 20s, running fast as shit, doing 5-minute miles. But if you get at the back, you meet people with pushchairs and babies and people with dogs, and you meet the nicest people at the back of the pack. And so that carries you along. And if you're struggling, you'll find people encourage you to keep going. I do that when I do these things, and I'm close to the back now. I mean, what do you expect? You're 82 at P.A.D, for God's sake. Anyway, so, that will be the ultimate test of all this work you did in the first 19 chapters.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, just think chapter 1. Imagine you're all depressed and you can't do anything. I got P.A.D. It's the end of the world. Are you likely to go to a local run race and walk at the back? No, you're going to sit around and cry or drink a beer and die. I mean, so let's not do that. Let's go to a local run, a short one, and walk at the back with a lot of the walkers, and you'll meet the nicest people, and you'll meet people with serious diseases who are doing it. Mm-hmm. They're out there struggling with AFib or whatever, and you'll meet friends, and you'll have a life, and you might work your way forward in the pack a bit. Never know, but that's not the point. The point is, this is the ultimate test of the chapters through 1 to 19. So that's number 20. 21 is not really, it's not training, it's telling your story and ideally becoming a peer expert. People here, the people who are talking on this kind of a program, we're peers, we're telling you what we think and what we've learned. What is an expert? Well, you know, we used to have
And I always say take that with a grain of salt, because there are just patients that are on a soapbox with other groups and things like that, that they're affirming their own treatment and their own methods by telling everyone else they should do exactly what they're doing. But what they don't realize that you do, because you are a pathologist, you have your PhD, you're very different. Plus, you have PAD. So you have expertise, you have professional expertise and patient expertise, which makes you, stand apart, because you understand the different presentations of disease, and you can talk from a framework whereby you understand that this person is in CLI, this person is in lifestyle limiting claudication, this person is in the early stages with intermittent claudication. You understand the top-down disease, bottoms-up disease caused by diabetes and chronic kidney disease. But a lot of the general patients, or so-called peer experts, are out there giving advice and telling everybody that they need to do what they're doing, but it may not be appropriate for them. And not to say anything we talk about, we always do the disclaimer to say, you always need to check with your own healthcare team before acting on any advice happening here.
I knew it would.
What? You knew it was coming.
Yeah,
you knew it. Do not act on any information provided here. This is just food for thought. Great book to get to have a more productive conversation with your doctor, your PT, your trainer, whatever it might be, who can customize a program that's right for you. It's great to be inspired by your peers. And I think in that section with what PT 103 from our YouTube channel comments was saying, maybe that could be another place to make sure it's incorporated in there, that you do need to work from your own where you are right now and have a goal where you want to be, but don't compare yourself to others.
Exactly. Tricky problem. But
yeah, just use them as inspiration.
What we need is a directory of doctors who have PAD. Those are the people to talk to.
You know who I have that have a lot is I have a lot of nurses that have PAD. I've had one gynecologist who had PAD here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it was because of a hypercoagulable state caused by COVID. And it was literally an acute event, and he called our hotline. Poor guy, had to close his practice and everything for because of his long recovery. He had never heard of PAD before, and then suddenly his toe is just, and we still call it, even though it's a hypercoagulable state caused by blood clots, he's over 50 and he does have plaque in his arteries. So even though the straw that broke the camel's back was really the clotting, he did have some rock hard calcium or atherosclerosis in his arteries as well, contributing to the problem.
Okay, I will add these thoughts to the chapter 21, and really they need to tell their story as peers, not peer experts. I think I have an article which you know about that is
how about peer inspirations? Because yours is inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. Become a peer inspiration.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I can make that change easy enough. That's why I wanted to get feedback.
Yeah, I'm curious what Joshua thinks, maybe Joe, maybe Jay, and Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Just a quick question, just going back to the doing the 5Ks and signing up for different walks. Kevin, what advice would you give me? Because I've signed up for an 8-mile, 13 kilometers walk at the end of September. Is there any advice, like things to take with me, like sugar drinks, snacks, maybe,
Yeah, once you get any distance, always carry food and water, always.
Okay.
Even in races, I carry my own food, even though there's supposed to be food provided. I would always carry gels, those 100 calorie gels. And they've a few times have saved me from nausea. So yeah, just carry, if you go to a sports place or you can go online, you can buy these gels, get ones you like the taste. I mean, you don't want to be, you can carry sandwiches if you want, but the gels work really well. You need to try them and get used to them, because one gel is like a very thin package, it's not much bigger than a credit card, and it's a little fatter. And so I will usually, in races, I'll carry one. I can take one every 3 miles. So if you carried 2 or 3 of those, you wouldn't have trouble with nutrition. Water is important too. It doesn't matter if it's cold or hot. Water is important. And so in that respect, that's my main thought. Also,
Thank you.
when you go out for walks, you might want long walks. You might want to practice that and get your stomach used to it, because you might find a certain gel your stomach doesn't like the flavor. Flavor is important. You might like strawberries and not blueberry or some damn thing. And so, make sure water and nutrition are key. They're really important. And you have to train. When I go on these races, half or full Ironman races, I would always train doing exactly the same. I'd eat the same food. I mean, on the bike, I'd eat all the time on long bike rides. And I do now, even for half Ironman. And before I jump in the lake or the sea, I always take one gel 15 minutes before. I have my breakfast at 4 in the morning. I time my nutrition. So if 10 miles or if 10 kilometers is an unusual distance for you, just carry some gels that you're familiar with and some water. That's my advice.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
So, well, we're all training for the 5K, 30-day 5K. He's got bigger goals, which is incredible. I mean, just from months ago.
Hi, Robert.
I mean, now you're line dancing and you're doing big races. And we should say hello to Rob too.
Sorry.
We should say hello to Rob really quick, because Rob is over there in the UK, Mike. He's over there in the UK, and he's been trying to get his walking program started. And since we have Kevin still here, Rob, do you have any questions about how to walk effectively to grow your collateral vessels?
I suppose what I'm trying to get a definition of is whether it's best to do the intermittent walking, i.e. walk for about 8 minutes till you get to about pain level 8 from 10, then rest for a couple of minutes and repeat the process, or is it best to just walk right through the pain, which I can do?
Robert, are you in Scotland by any chance?
I certainly am, yes.
Whereabouts?
Blairgowrie, about an hour from Edinburgh.
We lived in Pennycook for 5 years. I had 2 kids there. I loved it in Scotland.
All right, yeah.
Good. Anyway, I'm in Scotland, I must admit. Well, I think the answer is to think like an endurance athlete. And when you do endurance training, then you're pushing, but to the point that it's not stopping you for a long time. I see, like for Mike's thing, he can't do intensity and travel, 10 kilometers. And so you need to practice that. But you also need to do the intensity training where you push it as hard as you can. You have to be careful not to push through too much pain, because you can damage the muscles. So once the pain becomes pretty severe, you stop, let the muscle refill, and that hurts. And once you're refilled, on you go. That's how I started my training back in 2014 to keep moving. I hadn't learned very much by then about living with this thing. So I think you have to balance both forms of training, and they both have value. The taking yourself, and I have a video on that where I use the treadmill for it, taking yourself to the edge of claudication so you're uncomfortable is great for distance. And then for really growing collaterals, maybe once or twice a week doing the very painful refill approach, which I see as intensity training. And you have to learn how your body likes the balance of the two. And one way to monitor your progress is by measuring O2 sats in your toes, and also foot function. If you're walking and your feet start to slap the ground, like you're gonna actually do more harm than good. So once you start losing healthy function of your ankles and feet, or knees and hips, whatever, you need to stop and back off. Whereas if you take it to the edge of claudication, function should be fine, unaffected. If it is effective, it's affected and you start slapping your feet. It's a very real feeling. I remember I've done it many times. It's a feeling of things aren't working properly. I think I'm going to actually hurt myself, not help myself. So it's a matter of listening to what's happening, but it's always a matter of what works for you, because we're all different. I don't know if that helps.
It certainly does help. When you talk about refilling, I've noticed that if I walk to like, if I really push it, I have my treadmill on an incline of 12, about 3 miles an hour. And if I push it up to like pain level 8 from 10 or even 9, trying to go a bit farther, when I stop, the pain gets even more intense for maybe 30 seconds to a minute before it starts to calm down again.
Mhm.
Is that what you mean by refilling?
Yeah, I do. I've been there hundreds of times and it hurts like crap, but it's a different kind of hurt. It's different from the pain of claudication. It's the pain of refill. And then when I have my obstructed common iliac artery on the left, and they managed to get rid of the clot, which took a long time, and a couple of my toes started to refill with blood. I think it's like it's a bit like when you freeze your hands in the winter and then they start to come around. It hurts like crap, and it's the same kind of feeling. And I think it's the feeling of blood flowing back into the muscle. The muscles are provided with a lot of nerves, especially in the perimysium, and so I assume that's the cause of the pain. But boy, yeah, it definitely hurts, and that's what I call intensity training. Endurance training is keeping. I mean, 12% on a treadmill is steep. That's a hard workout. I can keep going for a long, long time on about a 6. If I get to a 10, I can't keep going for an hour. If I'm on a 6, if I keep my pace not too high, you're talking about a 3 mile an hour pace. At 12, that's a pretty hard workout, and that will lock your calves up, no doubt about it. So it's for you.
Well, actually, when you talk about the slapping foot, I had been doing my training on an incline of 10 for probably the last few months. And then last week, I decided to try and push it a wee bit further and put it up to 12. And then a couple of days ago, I got some bruising on my left ankle. And as I was walking, my foot was slapping the floor. And I said to my wife, it's like I can't control my foot. So like you say, I probably pushed it too far for a couple of days at level 12.
Yeah, you don't want dysfunction, because dysfunction causes damage. You want your feet to be functioning normally. If you do this P.A.D. 100 stuff I'm described in my books and on my videos, that will dramatically improve the use of your feet and will improve blood flow through your feet and will dramatically improve how far you can go without claudication. I call it the remote blood pumping system, basically remote blood pumping stations. I turn my feet into pumps, and that's all described in my videos and books. And the videos are free. They're on YouTube under the P.A.D. My YouTube channel, which is at Fit Old Dog, all one word, and the P.A.D. playlist. And there's 33 videos in there, each of which is linked to a chapter in my latest book. But you can watch them. You don't have to pay for them. I mean, they're free. And all this stuff I talk about is described in there. This is a description, which for me is an 11-year journey since my P.A.D. started. You got to remember, I ran Boston in 2009. In 2014, my runs just disintegrated due to P.A.D., and I've been fighting it ever since. But then, proof of the pudding is in 2023, I was third in my age group, 80 to 84, in the World Half Ironman Championships in Finland. That includes a half marathon after a 1.2 mile swim and a 56-mile bike ride. So my methods are working for me. And so, so the thing is, you have to both grow collaterals and you have to improve biomechanics. You do those two things and you will go a lot further. And that's my philosophy of this thing. Until somebody comes along with a Harry Potter magic wand and fixes my blood flow, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if I go on YouTube and just look up Kevin Morgan P.A.D. 100, I'll be able to find the videos on there.
Yeah, most of it, but you can also, Rob, I can email it to you as well, but I can stick it here. If you look, can you see the chat on your phone there? In the chat, I put his actual YouTube channel on there as
Okay.
well. And then maybe, I don't know if Kevin or maybe Josh could help me with the link to the book, his new book that's out there. You can get it on Kindle. And Mike's already read it cover to cover, which is incredible. And so it's his book is just tell us about the book again as we close out here, Kevin, and where people can get it, and also where to follow you.
You know, I'm uncomfortable being a vacuum cleaner salesman. It's like
I know. I just I can look it
very
up really
difficult.
quick. It's a
difficult
long
to
title.
promote my own stuff, but this book is called Peripheral Arterial Disease Training Plan for P.A.D. Heroes. And anybody who comes on here and is fighting back, I see as a hero because it involves a lot of pain.
Yeah.
The book is promoted somewhere on one of those videos. The best place to find this stuff, and where I describe quite a bit of what's in them and you don't have to buy it, is if you go to my website, which is inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. So there you can find all my books pretty well. So if you just send to the website, if you go to the website, inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com, you can see all this stuff, and also some of the videos are linked on there. So you know, that's the easiest way, I think. Also, you can sign up for a newsletter. I mean, I put out a newsletter once a week on an early Thursday where I talk about all sorts of different things. I mean, all sorts of different things. One I talked about how to be happy in spite of it all and explain that. Another one I talked about the origin of geology and the nature of rocks and minerals. Another one I wrote about the underlying mathematics of AI, which is actually old mathematics and new coding, and it's dumb as two short planks. So I write about whatever. So anyway, that's also that sign up link is on my, and my newsletters are free, and you can sign up. You just click the link, and all you got to do is put in your first name and your email address. If you don't put in your email address, you can't get the newsletter because it's an email newsletter. So I think the best place to go is my website, inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com, all one word.
Lovely, thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you do pick up his book. Make sure you do like this video. It is so important. Let us know what you think. Comment in the comment section. Pick up his book and then write in the comment section some of your feedback. He is getting ready to release it on paperback, but he wants your feedback on the book. So if you pick up the Kindle version on Amazon, read on through it. It's a short read, easy read, fascinating read. Make sure you get through it and provide some feedback. What works, what doesn't. I think you'll find that most of it works, but it's, you know, we had, for example, PT 103 that suggested to just make sure that there's an emphasis on individuality in performance. And so that's really helpful. We also talked about peer inspirations versus peer experts. So we're going to take a look at that. So a lot going on, a lot of great feedback. Excited, another amazing episode. So if you missed this one, make sure you join us next week. Collateral Nation. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the way to my heart to get notified. Click the little bell for the notification button so that you can get notified of great content like this and others. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Can I say one short thing?
Sure.
Robert's accent gave me a terrible dose of nostalgia. I really miss Scotland. I had a wonderful time there. Great people, great country. Anyway, feelings. I'm not used to having feelings. I kind of avoid them if I can. But anyway, I know that.
Nice job, Robert. That's really rare. I think this is a first on the Collateral Nation. So nice job.
I think Kym would have no problem selling vacuum cleaners.
Hey, I don't sell vacuum cleaners ever. I'm too empathetic, and you can read things across my face. Authenticity.
Okay, very good.
Have a great week,
And
everyone.
I just want to thank everyone for being there. I want to thank everyone for being here. This has been inspirational and somewhat overwhelming, but thank you very much.
Yes, well, we hope you can join us next week, and hopefully you can join our 30K, what is it? 30-day 5K for the month of September. We're going to have you walking a 5K by the end of September.
Yeah, we'll do the 5-day 30K later.
Yes. 5-day 30K. That's down the road, but we'll get you there. I promise. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt, Mike.